Okay, so welcome to our benchmarking and GAP analysis presentation. Today we will compare Aalto University and Tecnologico de Monterrey regarding their diversity and inclusion efforts. We'll start by introducing both organizations briefly. Then we want to explain the definitions and dimensions of diversity as well as the purpose of our benchmarks. Afterwards, we want to explain and compare organizations' diversity and inclusion situations with GAP analysis. Therefore, we'll explain our process and method of data collection briefly. Then, first provide some quantitative data regarding gender diversity and especially representing of women. Continue with qualitative comparison, looked at the company's diversity and inclusion efforts in terms of diversity being part of the company's mission and strategies and generally practices and goals. Finally, it will suggest actions to bridge the gap. Let's start with the introduction of our benchmarking partners. Aalto University was founded in 2010, located in Espoo, Finland. It has 6 schools committed to high quality research and marking breakthroughs in science, art, technology, and business. Those also fields educational programs are offered in 12,000 students and 4,400 employees. Tecnologico de Monterrey was founded in 1943 in Monterrey, Mexico. It is a private and nonprofit institution committed to quality and higher education. It is one of the most prestigious universities in Latin America. It has 36 campuses around the country, so it is much bigger than Aalto University, and it has 91,000 students and 9,900 employees. The reason for our choice is that we decided to compare these two institutions as both operate in fields of education and have image that diversity and inclusion is really important to them. So we wanted to have a critical look on that.
All right, let's talk about the definitions and dimension. But before we compare chosen benchmark partners regarding DNA, we want to consider the actual meaning and difference between the definitions of diversity as well as inclusion. Aalto describes both definitions as follows. Diversity refers to all the ways we differ, examples, education, age, gender, nationality, or personality traits, any visible or non-visible attributes that make us different from each other. And inclusion that refers to an environment of involvement and respect where everyone can be their true self, feel a sense of belonging, and where our different backgrounds and perspectives are seen as strengths that contribute to a healthy and productive environment. This definition makes clear for us that not only the existence of diversity is relevant in a company, but the active involvement of everyone is significant in order to create a comfortable and welcoming workplace. Secondly, important to note that different dimensions of diversity exist, can be attributed into the following categories. Primary, including basic characteristics like age, race, gender, and sexual orientation. Secondary, including education, marital and parental status, and religion beliefs. Workplace, including the individual's job level, work shifts, and years within the organization. And the last one, style, that is including work habits, leadership styles, and communication styles. The purpose of benchmark, after clarifying the definitions and different dimensions, we would like to explain our purposes and details of our benchmark. Orientation is to compare Aalto University towards our benchmark partner Tecnologico de Monterrey. We focus on the mention of gender equality among the staff. During our research, surprised by data in terms of gender diversity, and this drew our attention to address specifically this criteria.
Now we would like to continue with our gap analysis. Before we present our results, we want to briefly explain our process and method of data collection. Our research and analysis is based on this research, as our chosen organizations were not ready to provide more detailed information by an interview. And this is in fact actually surprising for both institutions, as we assume from the available public data that both organizations take many actions in the area of diversity and inclusion. However, providing us with further information with the help of a direct interview, it would have been ideal to represent more transparency. Therefore, we have just worked with the available public data we could find online, and also consider the steps of Jan's representation throughout the project of benchmarking. Quantitative comparison. Now we would like to present our findings for the quantitative comparison. We use numbers on gender distribution and special look at representation of women in workplace. So in this table, you can see gender distribution in both companies, Tecnologico de Monterrey and Aalto University. With available data, it is a little bit difficult to make the direct comparisons, as the data in both reports focus on different areas. However, in general, we can summarize the following data of 2020. As we can see in the table, there are several areas regarding gender diversity which came out in the reports of both organizations. However, due to different focus of data, we want to emphasize on the overall data of all employees. The overview shows that in comparison to Aalto University, Tec de Monterrey clearly aligns with the mission of gender equality, with approximately 50% female employees and 50% male employees, half and half. This is quite surprising. The Finnish students thought this will be the opposite case because they had the impression that especially Finland takes profound measures to ensure equality. Therefore, the data from Aalto University with 36.6% female employees and 63.4% male employees is quite shocking for us. Even though Aalto University is 35th place for being one of the most international universities, there should be a special focus on improving gender equality in the future.
So, apart from this data, the question occurred why there is no specific data for the Tec de Monterrey regarding the amount of women in the top management. In Aalto University, the situation looks fairly good with 38.9% in the top level management. One fact we asked ourselves, why there are no women occupied on this level in Tec de Monterrey, or such a small number of women that it was not worth enough to present these to the report. In terms of resemblance, the data for teaching positions occupied by women seems to be quite similar and balanced, as Tec de Monterrey with 46% female employees, as well as Aalto University with about 41.1%, is a positive situation for gender inequality. On the basis of the current situation, we thought about the desired situation and therefore formulated the following goal. The goal for Aalto University should be to increase gender equality with 50% women and 50% men in staff balance for the year 2024. Tec de Monterrey promotes gender equality very well in this context with 50% female and 50% male employees overall. Therefore, the mission for gender equality should be taken into consideration at Aalto University by increasing representation of female staff. If we want to achieve 50% of female staff by the end of 2024, we suggest for Aalto University a continuous increase of 3.35% per year in a 4-year plan from the current state of 36.6 women in 2020. Now, after considering the current situation and setting the desired situation, we ask the following questions to reflect on existing gap. So, unconscious bias in hiring, not appealing job ads for women, high turnover of female employees because they don't feel included, the job conditions are not attractive, obvious unequal payment, low promotions for outstanding work of women, or not enough initiatives to encourage potential applicants, current employees to apply for unconsidered positions. For example, positions at technology and engineering.
So, yes, it is really useful to compare the quantitative data, but to really understand the situation better, we think it's also important to look behind the figures and analyze the existing efforts and practices for gender equality in both organizations. So as we learned from the quantitative data, Aalto University is doing work regarding gender diversity than Tec de Monterrey. And to find out the reason for this, we would like to first present the existing diversity inclusion efforts regarding gender diversity in Aalto University. So first, it drives inclusive hiring by using a gender decoder that promotes gender neutral job ads. And they will also held several staff trainings on diversity and inclusion. And Aalto has quite a good equality plan, which declares their diversity and inclusion goals and even specific measures to reach those goals and parties responsible for this work. For example, there's the goal to promote equality in academic career development. Therefore, they want to launch a mentoring program targeted at women in academia, especially with the focus on technological sciences. Another goal is the promotion of gender equality in recruitment. Therefore, they want to invest in the increasing share of female applicants in the fields where they are underrepresented. And yes, also the presence of diversity and inclusion at Aalto seems to be quite good, as they have a development agenda for equality, diversity, and inclusion. There they manifested the goals towards more gender diversity. And those goals are, for example, to improve gender balance across fields and support female academics' career progression. Yes, the website also provides a learning hub on diversity and inclusion. It includes a handbook on diversity and inclusion in recruitment and a lot of information on action tips, toolkits, and yeah, to include diversity and inclusion in your daily work. So the importance of D&I is really represented on the website, which is good. But then we analyzed how it is part of the mission statement and strategy, and found out that in Aalto's purpose, values, and way of working, the collaboration is a core value, which is defined by diversity is part of who we are, and we foster an empowered community that shines by working together. But then when you look at the strategy, they repeat the value of collaboration several times, which includes diversity and inclusion for them. But besides that, there's nothing on fostering diversity and inclusion or how important it is for the organization. And also when we look at the mission, that's only about the main mission of driving research. And yeah, that is just not enough. And maybe that's exactly the problem. And it's actually contradictory to the good image of Aalto University being an organization with really good diversity and inclusion efforts. So on the other hand, when we take a look at Tec de Monterrey, they have really strong diversity and inclusion practices. So for example, they instituted a Center of Recognition of Human Dignity and 2 specialized offices, the Office of Gender and Safe Community and the Office of Diversity and Inclusion. And they design strategies, protocols, and guides to promote especially gender equality. And they also publish a transparency report annually, which presents the monitoring of the cases of gender-based violence and actions that accompanied them and were carried out through the offices. They also implemented a protocol for action for prevention of and attention to gender-based violence and created a national committee on gender, which handles the protocol cases. Another interesting fact is that they formed the Impulsa Committee. It promotes the advancement of women in leadership positions, and they even received the Inclusivity Award for this committee for their inclusion strategy in the workplace. Another committee they formed is the Equalitech. Its mission is to strengthen gender equality in the organization, and it ensures the active collaboration of women in matters of equality and leadership. Additionally, they signed the He for She Pact in the partnership with UN Women. It engages men as agents of change to achieve gender equality and respect for rights of women. And they have the Tech Woman Award, which recognizes the contributions of women within the tech community. And yeah, moreover, they hold annual feminism weeks. This is a public forum featuring national and international renowned speakers, and they focus on establishing productive dialogue on gender equality. And last but not least, they have quite a great gender equality plan, which is not just general, but really is a set of measures that are designed and implemented in the institution to specifically ensure gender equality. So yeah, after comparing the diversity and inclusion practices of Aalto University to those of Tec de Monterrey, we can clearly see the difference. Tec de Monterrey implemented much stronger and more effective practices, especially the establishment of offices and the formation of committees is a strong effort because they really help to put plans and ideas into real action. And the high efforts seem to foster gender diversity, as we saw in the quantitative comparison. So Tec de Monterrey apparently really managed to create an inclusive workspace with a lot of support for gender equality. On the other hand, contradictory to their good image, Aalto University lacks comparable practices. It made a good start, but for example, their learning hub on diversity and inclusion only includes really theoretical and abstract information. And they also have strong goals, but they are not yet achieved. So taking real actions with the help of offices and committees, for example, is missing. And of course, we also have to consider that Tec de Monterrey is a bigger institution and probably has more resources and better connections, but still Aalto University can really learn a lot from Tec de Monterrey.
Action plan to reach the gap. Finally, we want to give some recommendations for Aalto University, which could help become as successful as Tec de Monterrey regarding gender equality. As goal to increase representation of women, topic of hiring is important. Remove gender biases from job descriptions. Write performance-based job descriptions instead of a list of qualifications, because men apply if they are 60% qualified, but women if 100% qualified. Avoid gendered language. Proactively source gender diverse talent. Set diverse group of interviewers so candidates from underrepresented group feel more comfortable. Leaders or managers play important role in fostering DII practices in an organization as they function as role models, and should lead by example. Evaluate managers on the record in recruiting women. Rethink delivery of DII initiatives instead of handbooks and theoretical tips and toolkits provided on website. Action learning, future-oriented scenarios, team-based learning, or practices like feminist weeks. Walk the talk in DII practices instead of abstract plans and goals. Put gender equality into action. Helpful. It's a form of offices responsible for these tasks or commits to promote gender diversity like Tec de Monterrey did. Collaboration can be useful, can be a useful tool to reach out to best practice companies or renowned experts in the field. Finally, monitoring and reviewing of progress and achievements of goals always important, so goals don't just stay goals. Conclusion. In conclusion, we learned that diversity and inclusion, even with focus on only gender, it's a really complex but important issue. Our benchmark help us understand the current situation of DNA in Aalto University, as well as in Tecnologico de Monterrey. From quantitative point of view, Tecnologico de Monterrey achieved gender equality as their workforce consists of 50% female and 50% male employees. Still, that's not entirely case for management positions. Qualitative comparison explained their success as Tec de Monterrey implemented strong D&I practices. Aalto University is on a good way, but there is still a need for more action towards gender equality. And it can learn a lot from Tec de Monterrey. That was our benchmarking and gap analysis presentation on the gender diversity situation of Aalto University compared to Tecnológico de Monterrey. Thank you very much for your attention.